All right. Shalom, everyone. It's Brother Doug again. So, going to be continuing the readings for today for the weekly Torah studies that I do here for everyone that listens in. And okay, let's see here. So, I think what we'll do is we're going to actually pause during mobile screen. Right, hold on. Stop screen share. Hold on a second. So we don't want a whiteboard there. Share screen. Okay. All right. Now we're on screen share, right? Okay. So now what we want to do is we want to go to here. And I think what I'm going to do for you guys is I am going to have, let's see here. I think we'll go with the Targum Onkelos for today's study. And we are going to go to Leviticus 14, right? Okay. So we're going to go to Leviticus 14 and we're going to be reading. All right. Let's see here. Just bear with me, guys. I got to slide through all this to get to Leviticus. Okay. All right. Almost there, guys. All right, as I'm getting there, guys, what I'm probably going to do is with the side-by-side, I'll physically read my physical Septuagint while having the Targum on the screen for you guys, just so you guys have something to see. And we're almost there. Okay, I forgot. Exodus has that many chapters. Okay, so we're going to Exodus 14 today, which I believe is going to be the continuation of the skin disease, or it's actually going to be what do you do if you have to quarantine your home, right? So all right, so I think you guys should be able to see that. All right, so just bear with me here, guys. I'm going to go to my Lexham English Septuagint here. You guys should be able to see that screen up there for the Targum. Okay. All right. Let's see here. So Leviticus in my Septuagint is page 115. So let me go to 115. All right. And yesterday we read Leviticus 13. So if you didn't see yesterday's study, you might want to check out yesterday's study. Okay. So, okay. All right, here we go. So I'm going to be reading from the Lexham English Septuagint physically here. And you guys are seeing the screen of the Targum Onkelos on my Kindle from my phone, okay? So here we go. And it starts off by saying, and Yahuwah spoke to Masha and Aharon, saying, if a glaring significant... Oh, whoops, my bad. I'm reading 13 again. My bad, guys. Sorry about that. All right, cleansing from skin diseases. So, like I said, it's pretty much a continuation from yesterday's study. Okay, chapter 14, verse 1. And Yahuwah spoke to Masha, saying, this is the law for the person with a skin disease. On the day he is cleansed and brought to the priest. And the priest will go outside of the encampment, and the priest will look, and behold, the infection of the skin disease is made whole from the diseased person. Okay, so let's see here. Okay, for some reason it's blocking half of the screen. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, there we go. All right, so the priest shall go forth in the camp, and priest shall look, and behold, if the leper be healed, made whole of his leprosy. Okay, pretty much the same there. And if the priest will give instruction for the one who is pronounced clean, they will take 2 small, ritually clean live birds, and cedar wood, and twisted scarlet wool, and hyssop. Okay. All right. So obviously, it has to be clean birds to use here. And the priest will give instruction. They will slaughter 1 small bird in an earthen vessel over running water. Okay. And the small live bird, he will take it in the cedar wood and the scarlet yarn and the hyssop, and dip them and the small live bird into the blood from the other small bird that was slaughtered over running water. Okay. Okay. So let's see if there's any difference here. Pretty much the same thing. Taking the living bird with the cedar wood, scarlet hyssop, and dip them and the living bird in the blood of the bird that had been killed over the spring of water. Okay, so now we're at verse 7. And he will sprinkle the person who has been cleansed from their serious skin condition 7 times, and he will be clean. And he will send the small living bird out of the field. Okay. Okay. Pretty much the same thing there. All right. Verse 8. And the man who has been cleansed will wash his garments and his hair, and will be shaved. Okay. Again, this is showing that it's not a sin to shave your hair. Okay. The man who has been cleansed will wash his garments, and all his hair will be shaved. All means all, guys. Okay. Verse 8 right there. Shave off all his hair. And as you can see, the Targum says the same thing. Wash himself clean with water. After he may come into camp, but he shall dwell without his tent 7 days. And it will be on the 7th day, all his hair will be shaved, his head and his beard and his eyebrows, and all his hair will be shaved, and he will be ritually clean. And on the 7th day he shall be again shave off all the hair of his head and his beard and his eyebrows, and the whole of his hair shall he shave off, wash his clothes and wash his flesh with water, and he shall be clean. So that was verse 9. And on the 8th day he will take 2 lambs, each a year old, without blemish, and a sheep of a year old, without blemish, and 3/10 of a measure of fine wheat flour kneaded with oil for sacrifice, and 1 cup of oil. And the cleansing priest will set the person being cleansed in these things before you, who at the entrance of the tent of witness. The priest will take the 1 lamb and will bring it as a trespass offering, and the cup of oil, and will set it apart as a separate offering before Yahuwah. And they will slaughter the lamb in the place where they slaughter the whole burnt offering and the sin offerings in a set apart area, for it is a sin offering, just like the trespass offering. It is for the priest, it is most set apart. And the priest will take some of the blood of the trespass offering, and the priest will put it on the lobe of the right ear of the person being cleansed, and on the thumb of the right hand of the great toe of his right foot. And when the priest has taken some of the cup of oil, he will pour it on the left hand of the priest. He will dip his right finger from the olive oil that is on his left hand, and sprinkle it 7 times with his finger in the presence of Yahuwah, and the priest will place the leftover oil which is in his hand on the lobe of the right ear of the person being cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the great toe of his right foot, at the location of the placement of the blood of the trespass offering. And the priest will put the leftover oil, which is on the hand of the priest, and on the head of the person who has been cleansed, and the priest will make atonement for him in the presence of Yahuwah. Okay. All right. And the priest will present the sin offering, and the priest will make atonement for him, the impure, on being cleansed from his sin. And after this, the priest will slaughter the whole burnt offering, and the priest will offer up the whole burnt offering, the sacrifice on the altar before Yahuwah, and the priest will make atonement for him, and we will be cleansed. Okay, so let's see here. All right. Okay, so we're just seeing here, okay. Just checking to make sure there's no differences here before we go on to verse 21 there. The oil is upon the left hand before Yahuwah. Blood of the oil, make atonement. Okay, the priest shall perform the sin offering. Priest shall make atonement for it, shall be clean. Okay, pretty much the same thing. Okay, and if he is poor and his hand does not find, he will take one lamb for whatever trespass he has committed as a choice sacrificial portion in order to make atonement for him, along with a 10th part of fine wheat flour kneaded with oil as an offering, and 1 cup of olive oil, and 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, whatever his hand finds. So I think what's significant here is you see lambs are used a lot for sacrifices, and obviously Yahusha is the Lamb of Yahuwah. So spiritually speaking, we have this connection between the Lamb of Yahuwah, and constantly we see lambs and peace offerings. This is a choice offering, it says here, this particular one, and let's see what the Targum says here. Actually says trespass offerings, so that's pretty interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so for the elevation to atone for him. Wow. Okay, that's really cool. The Targum on Kalo says that in verse 21. Very cool. All right. In order to make atonement for him, along with 10 part of fine flour wheat kneaded with oil as an offering, and 1 cup of olive oil, and 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons, whatever his hand finds. And the young pigeon will be for a sin offering, and the other for a whole burnt offering. And he shall offer them to the priest on the 8th day to purify him. Yeah, I was just about to say, usually the turtle doves are pure for purification. Okay, they're either for purification from sin, or sometimes even ritual purification. Okay, the 8th day, that kind of sounds like the consecration of the firstborn there, setting apart the firstborn to Yahuwah. On the 8th day is when a male child is supposed to be circumcised, right? At the entrance of the tent of witness before Yahuwah, and the priest, taking the lamb of the trespass offering and the cup of olive oil, will place them as a raised offering before Yahuwah, and he will slaughter the lamb of the trespass offering, and the priest will take some blood of the trespass offering and will place it on the lobe of the right ear of the person being cleansed, and on the thumb of his right hand, and on the great toe of his right foot. And then the priest will pour the oil into the priest's left hand. Then the priest will sprinkle some of the oil that is left in his left hand with his right finger 7 times before Yahuwah. And the priest will place the olive oil that is on the hand of the person being cleansed, and on the right hand, and on the great toe of his right foot, at the place of the blood of the trespass offering, and he will place what is left over from the olive oil, which is on the hand of the priest, on the head of the person who has been cleansed, and the priest will make atonement for him before Yahuwah, and he will present one of the turtle doves or the young chicks, baby chicken from the pigeons. That's interesting. Young chicks from the pigeons as his hand finds. Okay, that is a weird phrasing there. Let me see here. Yeah, I like the Targum Kalos better for this, just on the English here. Yeah, shall offer one of the turtle doves or one of the pigeons. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Okay, anyway. Yeah, this Lexham English Septuagint, guys, is kind of modern, sometimes a little bit too modern in certain areas. The one for a sin offering, the other for a whole burnt offering, along with the grain offering, and the priest will make atonement for the person being cleansed in the presence of Yahuwah. This is the instruction for someone who has an infection and his hand does not find for his purification. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe and Aaron, saying, when you enter into the land of Canaan, which I myself are given to you as a possession, and I bring an infection resembling a skin disease into the houses of your acquired land, and someone's household comes and reports to the priest saying something like an infection has appeared in my house, then the priest will give instructions to rid the house before the priest enters in to look at the house, and whatever was in the house will certainly not be unclean. And after these things, the priest will enter in to closely examine the house, and he will examine the infection on the walls of the house, greenish indentations in their appearance lower than the walls, and the priest exiting from the house to the doorway of the house. And the priest will quarantine the house for 7 days. And the priest will return on the 7th day and will examine the house. And behold, the return on the 7th day and will examine the house. And behold, the infection has not spread on the walls of the house. And the priest will give instructions and they will remove the stones. There is the infection, and throw them outside the city into an unclean location. Then they will scrape the house from the inside all around, and they will dispose of the mud outside the city in an unclean location. They will take strong scraped stones and set them in place of the previous stones, and they will. Okay, so now we're at verse 42 here. Take different mud and plaster the house, and if an infection comes back again and breaks, okay, so infection comes back, breaks it out into the house after the stones have been have been removed, and after the house has been scraped, and after it has been replastered, and the priest will go in and look. If the infection has spread in the house, it is a skin disease in the house. It is unclean, and they will tear down the house and its wood and its stones, and they will carry out all the mud outside the city to an unclean location. And the person who enters the house during the days it is marked off will be unclean until evening. And any person who sleeps in the house will wash his garments and will be unclean until evening. And any person who eats in the house will wash his garments, will be unclean until evening. But if one arriving, the priest enters and looks, and behold, the infection is not spreading in the house after the house has been replastered, then the priest will clear the house after the house has been replastered. Then he will take 2 small live ritually clean birds to purify the house, and cedar wood and twisted scarlet yarn and hyssop, and he will slaughter 1 small bird in an earthen vessel with running water, and he will take the cedar wood and twisted scarlet yarn and hyssop and the small live bird, and he will dip it into the blood of the small birds slaughtered over the running water, and he will sprinkle the house with them 7 times. He will purify the house with the blood of the small bird and with the running water and with the small live bird and with the cedar wood and with the hyssop and with the twisted scarlet thread. Then he will send the small live bird out of the city into the field, and he will make atonement for the house, and it will be richly clean. This is the instruction concerning every infection of a skin disease and lesion, and of a skin disease on the clothes or house, and of a scar and mark and brightening, and for describing on which day it is unclean, on which day it is cleansed. This is the instruction for the skin disease. Okay, so that is the end of Leviticus 14. Just going to see here. Okay, so we're going to just go quickly backtrack here just to see if there's any differences, which I doubt, but propitiate, that's interesting for atonement there. Verse 29. Plague of leprosy. Okay, so we have leprosy instead of skin disease. That's pretty much the only real difference here I'm seeing. Okay, priest goes in to inspect the plague, peer deeper than the surface of the wall, then from the door of the house, shut up the house 7 days. Okay, walls of the house. The priest shall order. Okay. So I'm just checking viewers and listeners to see if there's a huge difference here between the two texts. If not, we can pretty much close the study for today. So just bear with me real quick. Whosoever goes in the house may sleep in the house. Okay. Yep. Okay, so it seems like the only main differences I saw for today's study was the Targum is a little bit more specific in certain instructions on the cleansing of the person that's recovered from the skin disease, to make them clean, to make atonement for them. The certain offerings, like the offering of the lamb, is a little bit more specific what type of offering it is. It says it's a trespass offering in the Targum on Kalos. When it talks about the water that you're supposed to dip the live bird in, it says spring water right here in verse 52. So this is the law for forever, plague of leprosy and scourge. Okay. And also verse 54 here, score buttocks, whatever that is. So clothing in the house, flame spot, to teach on what it is unclean and what is, and on what day it is purified. This is the law for the leprosy. Okay, so pretty much you guys can see here that pretty much it's the same exact thing here. As you can see here, I was showing you guys on the shared screen from my Targums there on my Kindle. So thank you for joining me today. I pray that, my prayer would be that this was a baraka to those that heard it, and that this would help those that are coming out of Christianity, coming out of other religions, and coming into the true full belief of the scriptures, the Old and New Testament together, those that are being convicted by the Father to live according to all his ways, like the whole book, not just the front of the book or the back of the book, but the whole book. Okay, so I pray this message helped you out, helped you to understand some of the commandments of our Father here. And obviously with the priests and stuff like that, we can't do that today. Obviously, certain things that detailed the Levitical priests and all that. So I pray the Father gives you discernment on what we know we can keep at this moment and what we have to wait for the Levitical priesthood to come back to be able to fully keep. So okay, it seems like my sister Sadia is waiting to be admitted. So thank you for joining us, guys. Shalom. Shalom. Have a great rest of your day, guys. All right. Okay.